Welcome. This is the fourth workshop in the 2023-2024 NYSSB Professional Learning Series. My name is Candy Black, and I'm your World Language Associate in the Office of Bilingual Education and World Languages of the New York State Education Department. It is my pleasure today to welcome my co-host, Francisco Garcia-Quezada, and he will introduce himself in the next slide. We want to welcome you to Promoting the Seal and Recruiting Students. Did you know that less than 3% of all New York State high school graduates earn the New York State Seal of Biliteracy? Did you know there are thousands more students who speak or are learning English and another language and who are ideal candidates for the seal? This webinar will present tools and strategies to promote the Seal of Biliteracy and recruit participants that have proven successful at both large and small schools across the state. You'll come away with ideas to both identify and recruit students to be honored for their skills and hard work in developing language proficiency. Then you'll learn how to successfully engage with stakeholders in your school community to ensure they have a solid understanding of the seal and can assist you in recruiting students. Today, I have the pleasure of presenting with my friend and colleague, Francisco Garcia-Quezada, and I am going to ask him to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Francisco Garcia-Quezada. I am a resource specialist with the New York City Regional Bilingual Education Resource Network, also known as the RBIRN. And I am here at Fordham University at the Rose Hill campus in the Bronx. And we mostly service all of the schools who have ENL or English Language Learners programs within the New York City system. I am very privileged to be co-presenting with Candace, who I admire a great deal, as so many of you as well. I am a 36-year educator. The last 30 years, I have been teaching Spanish and also as the administrator of language programs for the North Rockland School District. I retired from there in 2021, only 2 years ago. And I have joined the RBIRN working with my colleagues here in the Bronx and also throughout the state, like Candace. And thank you. It is really great to be here with you.
Thanks, Francisco. This is a wonderful partnership or an example of the things that OBEWL does with the different RBIRNs, and I'm very happy to have Francisco with me. So again, I'm your World Language Associate, and you can contact me with any questions you have regarding World Language Programs or the Seal of Biliteracy. Before we move on, I want to mention to you that this little image here on the left is the digital badge that you will receive upon completing this webinar. So let's get started. As with everything else, we always provide an electronic handouts folder. Now you have a link on the screen. Remember, you're going to get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, the QR codes there as well. We also send a follow-up email, so don't worry about capturing it right now. You're going to get it. You already have access to it in the chat. All of the materials that we're going to be showing you during this presentation can also be accessed on our SEAL website. And you can see a screenshot here so you know when you get to the right spot. And as with any URL, I don't memorize the URL. Honestly, what I do, and I'm the person that makes this website, is I just Google NYSSB and NYSSB, and it comes up as the first hit. You can do that. You can also bookmark the page for easy future reference. So as we mentioned briefly, we have a multi-tiered process for submitting questions for this webinar. So those questions that are submitted on the note catcher, which is right in the chat, and Francisco, can I ask you to post that one more time while I am speaking? Those are the questions that we're going to start with first. So if you have an important question you want to make sure we get to, please enter it into the note catcher. Secondly, after we've answered all those questions, you can put your questions in the normal chat and we will go back and look through those. And then finally, if time permits, you can unmute yourself when we do have our question period to be able to get your answer. Now, the benefit of using the note catcher is, in addition to being addressed first, is I'm going to take all those questions and I'm going to write written answers. And then I'm going to include that note catcher in the notes for this meeting that you will get following the webinar. So let's move into our part one, promoting the Seal of Biliteracy. We're going to talk about 4 important groups: faculty and staff, school counselors, students, and then families and the community. So let's start with our faculty and staff. One of the things that we recommend as a highly effective process is conducting a brief presentation at a faculty meeting. And in fact, thinking about doing that each fall because people need refreshers and because you have new staff coming on. Some of the things that you might include in this meeting are what the seal is, why does NYSSB offer it, who can earn the seal, what do students have to do in order to earn it, and what do the students get when they meet the criteria. So let's just go over this to make sure everyone's starting with the same level playing field. The seal is an award that's given by the Commissioner of Education to any student who can demonstrate a high level of proficiency in English and at least one other world language. And you're going to see peppered throughout this presentation some actual photos of seal coordinators with their seal earners. Now, NYSSB offers the seal for a variety of reasons. They want to encourage students to continue to study languages, both their home language as well as others that they have learned. We want to affirm this value of diversity, linguistic and otherwise, in our society. We want to identify those students that have these multilingual and multiliteracy skills for employers as well as for colleges. And most of all, we really want to prepare students with the 21st century skills that they're going to need to be successful in the global society for which we are raising them. Now, one of the main issues that we get is who is eligible to pursue the seal. Now, Francisco is going to talk about this a little bit later, but what you need to know right now is any student from any New York State school who will graduate with a Regents diploma and can demonstrate the required level of proficiency in English and another world language is eligible to pursue the seal. These can be current or former English language learners, they can be heritage language speakers, or they can be students who are learning a world language in school. All of those populations qualify. Now, students get a couple of really nice things in addition to having the wonderful skill of being bilingual and biliterate, and that is they get an official seal on their diploma, they get a certificate signed by the Associate Commissioner, and they get a medallion that they can wear at graduation. And you can see these seal earners from Port Jervis are all wearing those medallions that they get from NYSSB. By the way, you get this free of charge. So in addition to having this meeting where you give a brief overview of the seal, you may want to also engage your faculty and staff in promoting the seal and recruiting students. So you may ask certain teachers, especially ELA, ENL, and world language teachers, to allot time for brief presentations on the seal. You can also ask your colleagues to encourage eligible students, as well as to talk to parents about the seal. What we want to focus on here is underlining to you how you can leverage your positive relationship with your students to encourage them to pursue the Seal of Biliteracy. Now, we'd like for every adult in your school that interacts with students and parents to be able to provide a simple elevator speech. And so that's the deliverable for the faculty presentation. Can each faculty member answer what the seal is, why students should consider it, and who they can go to get more information? And so to not leave anything to chance, we've actually created a one-page handout, which I'm going to put in the handouts folder, for faculty and staff. Now, what you're seeing in front of you is the Capital East version of this. You can see it's a pretty simple document. It has those 3 questions that we talked about. It also has a link to get more information. It has a blank line where you can write in the name of the person at your school that students can go to for more information. And you'll see on the bottom, it also has an updated list of all the schools in the general region that offer the seal. And this handout is available for all 7 regions of New York, and it is updated yearly. We also have one-pagers for various stakeholders. Now, this one is the Seal for Teachers. And this is just a 2-page document with some basic questions, but written specifically from the teacher point of view so that they, again, know what the seal is, how it benefits students in the school, what students need to do to get the seal, and how teachers can support students in the process. This is available on our website. I'll also put it in our handouts folder. So at this presentation to faculty, you're also going to want to introduce the members of your Seal of Biliteracy committee. And this is not only to recognize the work of these people that are assisting you, but also allow other faculty members to realize that there are other people they can go to if they have questions about the seal. So you, on your committee, you have your administrator, your ELA teacher, your ENL teacher, your world language teacher, and your school counselor. You can also invite faculty and staff who are interested in helping you to join the Seal of Biliteracy Committee. The more the merrier, and the better able to spread out the work among multiple people. Finally, at this meeting, you're going to want to survey faculty and staff to find out if anyone happens to speak a language other than English. Now, you may think that only your teachers of world language or perhaps ENL speak a language other than English, but you'd be surprised if you survey your faculty to find out how many people actually spoke a language other than English at home, or how many people went to Greek school as a child and can now speak Greek. These people can serve in a variety of roles. So no one needs to speak another language to be an advisor of the culminating project, but it is helpful. And if they do speak another language, they can serve as a panelist to evaluate student performance on their project. So we have a couple of tips that we've put together for these faculty and staff meetings. One is make sure you use some kind of presentation software so people have something to look at as you're presenting and creating an engaging experience. You also may want to include pictures of past SEAL graduates. They might kind of perk up and say, oh, I had that student in 10th grade so-and-so. It's wonderful if you can get pictures of students with their graduation regalia. It's just a very celebratory moment. If you have students who are currently pursuing the SEAL, or if you have past graduates who already got the SEAL, invite them to this meeting to talk briefly about why they chose or are choosing to pursue this award. And as we mentioned before, consider a refresher presentation each year so you can update faculty and staff on the growth of your program, as well as to ensure that everyone has the information on the program. Because, you know, we have new staff that come in every so often. So our next big cohort of people to promote the SEAL with are our school counselors. School counselors play a very important role in general in school, but in particular for the SEAL, because they are the one constant in high school. A student may have 4 different ELA teachers, but they probably just have one counselor from 9th to 12th grade. As for the teachers, we have a Seal of Biliteracy one-pager just for counselors and administrators, and you can see that here on the screen. This again talks about the SEAL, but specifically from a counselor perspective. So we highly encourage you to consider downloading it and providing it to your counselors at this meeting. We also encourage you to set up yearly meetings with your school counselors to both build their capacity and refresh their knowledge about how to speak up to students about the SEAL and its benefits. You're going to also want to ask your SEAL coordinators to add a page on the Seal of Biliteracy to the school's course selection guide. And this is very helpful because it also gets sent home to parents. Now, one of the roles that the counselor can play in being that constant is that they can survey all of their students starting in 9th grade to find out if the student speaks a language other than English at home, and then the counselor can keep track of these students for future recruitment. They can talk to them about what the SEAL is, how they can qualify, and what a wonderful thing that'll be on the student's future application for college or for jobs. You can also ask the school counselors to assist you in promoting the SEAL and recruiting students by, again, leveraging their positive relationships with students. Sometimes just a word of encouragement will make the difference in a student making the decision to pursue this award. Most importantly, school counselors can begin speaking with relevant students as early as 9th grade and talk to them about how the SEAL can be made part of the student's 4-year graduation plan. Now, our next big group of people to promote the SEAL with are our students. So teachers present information on the SEAL to their classes, and this can be ELA, ENL, world language classes. Ideally, a brief presentation is given every year in these classes, but no later than junior year. And it's good to do it right around the time of course selection, and then again in senior classes in the fall. You might also have a student information meeting on the seal. And again, you'll explain what the seal is and how it benefits students. But we've highlighted a couple of things that we find students are very responsive to. Number one, this is an award that students can get. And it's a highly prized award because less than 3% of New York State graduates earn this award. Students, again, get a free official seal on their diploma, a medallion to wear at graduation, and a certificate signed by the Associate Commissioner. They're also recognized in the graduation program, and the seal appears as an official notation on their official transcripts. Now, when you have a student information meeting, there's two things to highlight to students. One is that the work of the seal is doable, and Francisco is going to talk about this in his part 2. You also want to explain to him that New York is unique in that it's the only state that has multiple pathways to the seal. So what you see in front of you is the criteria to earn the seal, and each criterion has a point value associated. The first 2 columns are the English points, the second 2 are the world language points. And it's a simple formula. To get the seal, you need 3 points in English and 3 points in a world language, but you can mix and match in any pathway that works best for you. On this, or in this meeting, it's important, again, to focus on that this is doable. And one of the ways that highly effective schools make the seal doable is they embed in the normal coursework the work of the seal, and they spread it out over the high school years, not just senior years. And this is specifically, we're talking about not only all the points, but specifically the culminating project. Again, if you have prior seal graduates, they are an incredibly powerful voice for other students. Invite them to attend the informational meeting and to speak to current students about their own journey. As with teachers and counselors and administrators, we also have a 1-pager on the seal just for students. You can download this on our website. And because we know that students and families have special needs, we provide this particular document in the top 10 languages of English language learners in New York State. So in addition to having in English, it is available in Arabic, Bengali, French, Haitian Creole, Karen, Mandarin, Russian, Spanish, Urdu, and Uzbek. You can find those all on our website. So other ideas to promote the seal among students include having morning announcements, putting a page on the school website or posting social media, doing an article on the seal in a school newspaper or newsletter, making your own 1-pager on the seal for students, explaining the benefits and how-tos of earning it, making up a bulletin board of seal candidates or seal earners, or having a plaque displayed at your school with past seal earner names that students pass by each day. Now, our last cohort of people with whom we want to really promote the seal are families. And again, we have this 1-pager available for you just for families. It's a wonderful thing to have available at open house or parent-teacher conferences or any other event that parents attend. And just like the student version of this document, it's available in the top 10 languages of our English language learners. Now, some other things that you can do to promote the seal among families in the school community include, again, putting a informational blurb on the Seal of Biliteracy in your course selection guide. And you can see that our friends from this school that you see up here in the right have done that with the area that's circled in red. You can also write a post about the school earners on the school's social media, or you can make a web page on the seal again that you can see here on the lower left. Another thing you can do to promote the seal in your community is submit an article to your schools or about your school's program for publication in the local newsletter. So this came out this past summer on Saugerties and the students from that school district that achieved the Seal of Biliteracy. You can also create a short promotional video. Now, this is a wonderful student project that you can get the students to work on that will serve you long term. What you'll do is you'll have your SEAL earners talking, preferably in the target language, about why they pursued the SEAL. And I've given you two screenshots of an example video that was put together by the New York City Public Schools Division of Multilingual Learners. All you have to do is you can click on the link below, or you can just go to YouTube and Google New York State Seal of Biliteracy. Again, this is a project that you could have students do. So find a video production class or someone who's just really savvy and have them take this video and put it together. Students can use either video conferencing platforms or just a handheld device to record this video. And then finally, you can engage with local colleges and businesses in your area to get quotes from them about why they value candidates who are multilingual. And as something to help you with this, you'll see a report by the national organization, the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, or ACTIFL. And the report is called Making Languages Our Business. And it's got some wonderful figures about how American and multinational businesses are really seeking students with world language skills. Now, each year, schools that participate in this SEAL receive digital badges, just like you're going to get for participating in this webinar. And so I borrowed this website from Brewster Central School District, so go Brewster. You can see on their SEAL website, they have put all of the digital badges that they have earned over the years. So not only have they offered the SEAL since 2016-17, they've also got a veteran badge there. So I hope that you will consider joining us in many, many years to come to be able to earn those badges. And now I'm going to stop my share and turn it over to my co-presenter, who's going to present part 2, recruiting. Francisco?
Thank you, Candice. Let me know when you were able to see the page.
We can see it.
Okay, good. So one of the things that we know very well is that when we're promoting, we're also recruiting. And Candice did a great job at telling you all of the perhaps stakeholders that we need to really be addressing. We want to make sure that in this process, when you are ready to begin the recruitment process, that you start recruiting early and broadly, that you track your students' progress and the points perhaps that they're earning. And we'll show you a little bit of how to do that with help from your data people. And that you invite students to pursue the SEAL, constantly be talking about it within your classes, within the schools, and all of the accessible media and mediums that you might have within the school. And in some schools, very highly effective schools that have had the SEAL for a while, they have also made the SEAL a default, meaning that students need to opt out rather than opt in. Some of us might be doing that in some of our classes. I used to do it in my upper level, college level classes, the Checkpoint C classes, where all the students were signed up for the Seal of Biliteracy. And for them not to do it, they had to actually bring back a note from the families and themselves, giving me reasons why. And in some cases, it was just that they were shy of the presentation. In other cases, they didn't realize that they were almost done. Okay, so keep that in mind. Again, start recruiting students early. Highly effective programs identify students as early as 9th grade. And in some schools, even in the secondary level, in terms of the intermediate level, middle school. In your annual classes, make presentations. You know, when you go from 8th grade to 9th grade, you might have that presentation of the incoming class. Do it right there. And again, it's a good idea to do it every year, because sometimes the school is also receiving new students, and the students were not necessarily paying attention the year before. Now they're much more into their coursework. As part of the regularly scheduled meetings with school counselors, you should always be promoting and recruiting them to help you recruit students. Remember what Candice said, they are the constant of the student's life within the high school. The students, their teachers might change, but the counselors and them build a relationship that lasts 4 years. And the most effective programs This process also begins in the middle school or elementary school, especially those schools who might find themselves with dual language programs. You already know that you have a target audience there. Start recruiting student early also means that you take a look at the district K-12 communication with families, such as the course selection guide that the students get either virtually, or they might even get a book that is printed once they reach high school. But in that communication, you should not only have a spread, perhaps 1 or 2 pages, but also highlight some of the accomplishments of your students. How long have the schools been doing the Seal of Biliteracy? How many students have received the seal during those years? And perhaps how many of them have received the seal in more than one languages? All of that communication is important when you're recruiting, because parents know that this is based on something that has been happening. Student knows that this is historical also for the school. And it helps you when you start recruiting students broadly. All the students who have the potential to demonstrate a high level of proficiency in English and at least in one other language should be actively recruited for the seal. If you notice these wheels, by the way, they are percentagely created so that you can see how many students at the state level receive the Seal of Biliteracy. So the larger group that we have is all of those students who are involved in a world language class, students who are former ELs, and students who are current ELs consist of the next two groups. And then we have those students who are often forgotten because maybe they only wanted to do one requirement, and those are your heritage language learners. And when I mean one requirement, I mean that they met the required course load in a world language to be able to graduate, and they didn't have perhaps your initial approach on why they should continue. And we need to be convincing why that is important. So let's talk about these students individually. Current ELs. These are students who have been identified as English language learners. They're newcomers in some cases. They consider starting with your ELs who are at expanding level by the beginning of senior year. And you might look at in terms of your junior year as well. Some students have already been meeting those requirements, right? Former ELs are students who all were identified as ELs, but have since achieved the required proficiency to exit the EL status. Those are often students who have obtained a 290 in the NYSSB, or they have already obtained a level of proficiency that has moved them on, perhaps with some support, perhaps not. Heritage speakers, these are also known as never ELs, whose home language is other than English, meaning at home, they are very well and familiar with that language that is spoken by their parents. But these students who were never identified as ELs, but who speak a language other than English, sometimes fall under the crack. And we can discuss why, but we certainly need to make a better effort at recruiting them. And finally, the world language learners, which you saw as the larger wheel, also a student known as never ELs, whose home language is English. And the students were never identified as ELs who are studying a world language at the school. Those are your students who normally call their world language the foreign language, right? So who can help you identifying these students? Well, your source here should be your world language teachers to identify those students who are completing checkpoint C already. They have probably obtaining an 85 or better. These are your college level classes in some cases, or maybe the AP course as well as identified. Let's jump over to the other end and look at the current ELs. And these are English language learners who are learning English as a new language. And the raster, the people here to connect with, are those teachers that are teaching these courses. Okay. You also might want to have your data person provide you with a nicer slot scores of the students in the past and perhaps the most recent one, and see where they are. Then we get into the former ELs. These are your E&L teachers. These are your sources and also your counselors. And remember, for all of them, your counselors can be very helpful. But in particular, these two groups because they no longer have an E&L class, and they might not have a world language class either. So keep that in mind, maybe because they were already granted credit for the world language, or they had other classes that they needed to also meet those requirements, and they are doubling up in senior year and didn't have room for that other class. So perhaps you need to let them know that they are also welcome. Remember, they already have the source of that required proficiency, perhaps even met already. And finally, our heritage language speakers. Ask the students in your English language classes and ask your counselors. These are your best sources because sometimes they don't necessarily have a heritage class identified within the school. The school doesn't have a large population, or the population has been so mixed because of all the other requirements that there is no heritage language. They're just all over the classes. So keep in mind that these students, you might need to really do a little bit more in selling them why they need to come on board. They already have met some of that proficiency. They need to feel comfortable enough to take it to the next level. And again, taking it to the next level, Candace mentioned before that we have the 10 most common languages of our ELS in New York State are listed here, but they consist of about 200,000+ current English language learners within New York. And that includes all grades. And you know that number is increasing on a weekly basis. There are even more former ELS and heritage language speakers that are not accounted for within this group. And those are the students that already have exited status of ELS, and those heritage students who were perhaps never considered ELS to begin with. And many of these students are ideal candidates for the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. And why do we say they are ideal? Because of the fact that they have a history with a home language that perhaps they're able to already demonstrate proficiency in, or have maybe demonstrated it already. And we're going to get into that. Highly effective programs are those in which the SEAL coordinator partners with the ELA, ENL, and the world language teacher, as well as the counselors, to ensure that all eligible students are actively identified, that they are invited, and that they are welcome to pursue the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. This is what we mean by start recruiting students broadly. Make it very inclusive to invite all the students that you know are part of this groups individually. Visit those ALA classes if you have to. Visit the ENL classes if you have to. And when possible, take students with you who have already met those criteria, or perhaps are already in that process with you, because you've been teaching an upper level class and you had them the year before. Track students' progress annually. Using the end of the year data form or another mechanism of your choice, and some school districts might find it easier to develop their own. I took every single criteria, and not just I, but as we were doing it in a committee, we took every single criteria that is asked for in the end of the year data form, and we created our own data form to request that information from the data person within the school district. Your school might be able to do that in the drop of a request. For those of you in New York City, the Office of Multilingual Learners, Jill Schimmel, has a mechanism that can assist you with this for those of you within the New York City system. And trust me that she's very good at responding to the school and the school district that requests this. Get annual data from your district coordinator. That provide those success indicators in the progress towards the SEAL, the grades in the English classes, the world language courses. Perhaps they have taken AP courses and they already have the scores, or an IB test or an IB class that might be provided within your school, or the NYSSB scores that are also provided annually back to the schools. And you might want to have that information so that you can best identify those students. The other piece of this is ask teachers for the names of students whom they believe have the potential to earn the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. We need to know that we don't know everyone, and that there are so many teachers that can be your partners in the promoting and recruiting of those students who you know you want to target. These trackers will eventually give you the pool of your potential seal candidates. When you begin officially recruiting students in junior or senior year, and in some cases, you might even want to start doing this in 10th grade, because that's some school districts provide AP classes to students in 10th grade. You can already begin to have that conversation in the promotion and the recruitment aspect of who those students will be. Again, the students don't have to wait into senior year to have met most of the criteria, and we're going to get into some of that. Use a tracker to record the points that the students have already earned. Even before students have indicated an interest in pursuing the seal, you might have this information handy. Communicating that points have already been earned may be the way that you motivate the student and the families to really go for this. In other words, if you already need 3 points in English and that student has already met 2 of those 3 points, how can you not give the student that information? You must let them know how close they are, because that will only motivate them to be part of this. How you promote and how you recruit is very important. And letting the students know which points as a student they have already met even before they got to the senior year, it's crucial, because it will allow them to feel less overwhelmed. For instance, you know you need 3 points in English and 3 points in world language, but how can they be obtained? Well, Candy before spoke of the different pathways that are provided in New York. And that's really important, because some states do not do that. They're very specific. But in our state, we have pathways. For instance, 80% or better on an English language Regents exam. The score of a 290 or better on the NYSSB, and these are for students who are L students only, right? A student who has met those 290, who already is expanding into command in the English language, they might be able to have obtained those points already. Perhaps an L students who have passed 2 Regents exams other than the ELA, and they took those exams, those Regents exams in English. Very important. And again, these 2 only apply to English language learner students. 85 or better as an average in an 11th grade ELA class or a 12th grade ELA class. And again, this is a combination of those 2 years, 11th grade and 12th grade, and their average was 85 or better. Again, that's another point. They score a 3 on an AP English test. They score a 4 in an IV test, the International Baccalaureate English test, right? And many schools don't offer that, but some schools offer the AP, some schools offer both of them. Score of an intermediate high or better on the culminating project. And this project provides 2 points. We'll talk about the project, and there will be a specific presentation for the project later on as well. But we go into the world language. Remember, all they need is 3 points here. And know that in my years of doing this Seal of Biliteracy since 2015-16 at my previous school, we have students who obtain more than 3 points in English and some who obtain more than 3 points in the world language because of all the pathways, and we mark them all. 85 or better in a checkpoint C class in a world language course. A transcript from abroad, from a school abroad, a student who has arrived from Ecuador, Colombia, Dominican Republic, they bring in a transcript from Mexico. That transcript is evaluated by your counselors, and they're able to let us know what the scores were of the world language or their home language in this case, and how many of those credits they're bringing to us. 85% or better in home language arts courses. Again, these have 1 point each. The score of a 4 in an AP world language or a test of a 5 in an IB world language test. Again, these are different pathways that the student may receive and may meet those required 3 points. The final two here is required score and a variety of other assessment available. And for that, I invite you to go to that page that Candace showed you. In that continuation of those criteria at the state level, it will be one of the handouts you get. There is a list of approved exams that are there, and you can look into those for the students that perhaps are not able to meet some of the other points, or perhaps are not in a class to necessarily meet the 2 points needed. Require a score of a culminating project. Again, these are both the same. That project does not, it's a project within the world language class. And let me rephrase this a little bit. It is a project in English that can be in a combination of classes. It does not have to only be in the English language arts class. This could be in a social studies class or in a science class, or perhaps another class, but the presentation needs to be done in English to meet those requirements of the English points. Now, the world language, it will have to be in the target language, correct? And we all agree to that. Right? Again, very important to consider what we're doing and why we're doing this, because we know that diversity is being invited to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance. And I have to say that I love this quote, because it's always great to be invited, isn't it? But it's even better when someone comes over and says, would you like to dance? And that piece is what we're talking about with the Seal of Biliteracy. In the way that you invite, that you promote, that you recruit, and in the way that you support the students so that their dance is the best dance that they can perform. And I'm using the dance, obviously, as an analogy to what we do in the classroom and what we do to support the student. I also caution you, would you be presenting the Seal of Biliteracy as a program for the elite, a gifted few who already possess the skills necessary to succeed? Will you still have work who will work very hard, or will have to work very hard, put in extra hours, long hours, after their normal school work day, throughout the senior year and only the senior year, with little or no external support, with a singular pathway? If you're going to offer your program only in this way, you might find some resistance. You might find some people not willing to jump on the dance with you. You might find it difficult. You still will find students. There are students who will still jump in with you. But it is not going to be a broadly net of recruitment. What you want to be able to do is a program for many, that all students who know or are learning English and at least one world language that they are learning or already have, you want to include those students. This is who you want to recruit, who will continue to develop their language skills in those checkpoint C classes, or perhaps even continue later on in college. Can do in the context of their normal school work. I used to include it as part of my syllabus within my coursework, that the students will be working on this. Why not give them credit in your regular classes for the hard work that they are already doing throughout their high school career? Don't wait only until senior year. Get them early. Let them know that they've already been working for it. And with the support of their families, their teachers, their school counselor, their SEAL coordinator, and the project advisor. And finally, provide them with those multiple pathways to obtain the New York Seal of Biliteracy. Did I go into the right one? Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Main points to include in a personalized invitation. I loved when I received those letters for my daughters, and I know that my mom used to love them when she received them about me. Congratulations, you have been identified as a student that we believe can earn this award. Again, letting them know what the award is. Remember what Candace said, only 3% at the state level are receiving this award. Let them know how exclusive it is, but that they have been selected to it. To earn the seal, you need 3 points in English and 3 points in a world language. And here are the points that you have already earned. And perhaps you have that data already to identify those points. Your teachers can help you with this. You can do a mail merger, and we'll talk about that in a second. We have a network to support you in the process so that they know that they're not alone. From myself as your SEAL coordinator, to the ELA teacher, to the English new language teacher, to the world language teacher, to your school counselor, to your project advisor, you have a lot of people cheering you and supporting you. Most students choose to complete a project for the SEAL. This project can be embedded in the coursework that you already are doing. You can let them know. If you have Mr. Garcia, you know that he already included this project in his syllabus. This is what you are hopefully already accomplishing, right? Every student that does a project is supported by a project advisor. Try to make sure that you, and certainly you can have the advisor be the classroom teacher, but you can also help them find someone, okay? And it could also be another student who perhaps has a little more experience with the language, the target language. Just know that you are providing some support, okay? Only 3% of New York State high school graduates, we talked about this, and this is important for them to know that this is a very exclusive, but that they are being invited to be part of this. If you are interested in learning more about the SEAL, please come to the students' interest meeting. This is great to have posters all around to make sure that you are promoting that meeting, promoting that day, or perhaps even promoting a special meeting with you and them. Give them and that's okay to do as well. And again, our school values multilingualism and multiliteracy. This is what we're trying to promote. So make sure that you address the invitation to the student and their family and communicate to them the value that the school has on this, that you value, that this communication skill in multiple languages and the biliteracy that he or she brings already. And as Candice told you, these are pictures of graduates from the different schools and the happy parent as well. Consider having an interest meeting on the New York State SEAL for current and potential future SEAL candidate. This is important, and their families, by the way. So this you can do at orientation, but you can also do it anytime, perhaps as a promotional piece, but also in terms of maybe even information meetings at the beginning of the year. This can be a separate meeting on the New York State Seal of Biliteracy, or it can be part of another current event that the families are attending, and you set aside a person, in this case, the coordinator, to be able to do this with the help of some students. It's always great to involve the students that are taking part of it. Remember that families' preferred language may not be English. So as much as you can, try to include everyone. And again, the state has given you a ton of material in different languages that you can use. And certainly if you need some support, you might even recruit 1 or 2 of the students who speak those languages to help you in the presentation, and the teachers as well. Make the New York State SEAL the default expectation. New York State projects can be and should be embedded in a regular coursework whenever possible. Excuse me 1 second. Some of my colleagues are getting loud. This ensures that all students enroll in relevant courses that can be encouraged to pursue the SEAL. Since students will do the project for the normal course, therefore, it's not seen as extra work. All the students within my college level classes, the Checkpoint C classes, all of them were part of the Seal of Biliteracy. Over the years that I did this with my classes as a default expectation, only 1 student opted out. And they had some legitimate reasons, but they opted out. Even though I try to encourage them, the student has the right to opt out. But if you make this part of your workload already within your classes, the student doesn't feel that they are doing so much extra. In this way, all students in those classes at least give it an attempt. they know that they can do it, and especially when they begin to see all the other students doing this. It's always great to invite those students who feel uncomfortable about the presentation to attend other presentations to see what they can do and what their friends are able to do. You need support for your New York State Seal of Biliteracy program. We got you covered. Candace told you about all of the material that is already provided for you. And we have 8 arbors throughout the 7 districts. There is one, the language arbor, which is statewide, and they can provide you with a lot of the material if you need help with those materials being translated, but they're already translated for you. We have Capital District, the Hudson Valley, Long Island, Mid-State, Midwest, New York City, which is the one that I belong to. Although I live in the Hudson Valley, that's where I used to work as well. And the West region, which is all the way out there in the west of the state. So we have all of these resources for you that are available to you for free and to your district. They can support you, they can come, they can even be part of those presentations that you do with parents or with other constituencies. And again, I remind you that in New York City, you also have Jill Schimmel and her team of people who are excellent at providing support. You're also welcome to join the New York State Seal of Biliteracy Forum. We meet monthly, they're monthly meetings, and they're offering guidance and support to the New York State Seal of Biliteracy, as well as the opportunity for participants to ask questions, discuss, and network with other coordinators. I have actually learned a great deal from participating in this forum on a monthly basis. The attendance is voluntarily. CTLE credit is awarded to you for attending these meetings on a monthly basis, and also a badge is also given to you, provided by Candace's office as well, that as part of your participation in this forum. And we meet virtually via Zoom. It's 1-hour meeting on a Monday, on Monday of the month, from September to June. And there is a link here, and the QR code is there if you want to already sign up. And again, this will be provided for you as well in the email that you'll receive, in the folder that you will receive from Candace. So we welcome you to sign up to be part of this as well. There's a great deal of support that we give each other during those meetings. If you forgot as well, that Candace mentioned to you that by going to the state page, you can find the guidance toolkit that provides you with all of these information from Module 1 all the way to Module 8, which deals with the end of the year form. We have also, and this is at Candace's initiative, we have also created a series of videos for you, like this one that we're doing right now, which they are available from the beginning all the way to dealing with each and every component of the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. And I believe I'm going to show you the next one as well, which will be January 17, supporting students through the culminating project will be our next presentation. That will be Candace and another one of our colleagues presenting for you. Again, we would like you to be part of that. And for those of you who have been joining us in this series, if you miss any of them, you can always go back and know that they are available to you by going to the state page that Candace already mentioned before. And again, the information for us are here. You certainly can reach me at the New York City Arbor. My cell number is here, provided to you as well. And Candace's information is always available to us on every one of her emails.